turns out that the shape of the camel toe is not only sexy, but also allows them to run on top of the sand.
That's it. I'm done.
Well,
I'm
it's a
done.
fact.
What is wrong with you?
It's a fact. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my mummified co-host, Dylan.
It's just a book. No harm ever came from reading a book.
Okay. And joining us again, the podcaster with a fully packed bong fresh off a nap, Pat.
No, you must not read from the book.
Okay. Well, I'm in no danger because I don't read books. This week, we will be discussing the 1999 action horror movie, The Mummy, written and directed by Stephen Sommers, starring Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah, and Arnold Vosloo in the title role as the reanimated mummy. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. All right, guys, did you have a nice week off?
It was nice.
It was nice. Okay.
What am I supposed to do? Run down what I did? I took a nap. I didn't worry about podcast bullshit. It was great.
Oh, man, we took gummies and went out to the casino, and then we stopped for ice cream, and we both had like a total breakdown at the window of the fucking ice cream place. There were tears rolling down my face, and I don't know why. I was laughing so fucking hard.
That poor girl.
Yeah.
She must have just been like, oh my God.
Oh, shit. Then we barely made it home. The drive was ridiculous. All right. Let's do some opening thoughts. The Mummy.
Okay.
1999. This is great. I mean, this is comfort food in movie form for me. I've seen this movie 5 million times. It's nice. You know, you come home from work, you throw it on, fucking put you to sleep in 10 minutes in the good way. Dylan, have you seen the movie before preparing for the podcast?
A billion times, but it's good every single time I see it. And I mean, spoiler alert, I like the movie. So
Yeah.
like, I don't think I'm shocking anybody with that take, but it's so good. Like, just, I was saying to you earlier, the music is so good. Like, you get that symphonic blockbuster movie score, but then they pepper in the little Egyptian sounds and just, it's so good. Like, just that, and all the acting is great. There's tons of callbacks, which, you know me, I love a callback. Like, the callback is like my jam. And they do it like 5 times in this movie and perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, they don't tip the hat too hard. It just happens. And I love it. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, this script is tight as a mummy's wrap. Pat, have you seen the movie before preparing for the podcast?
Like YouTube, I have seen it many, 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 many times. This is, again, like you said, Des, this is like a comfort movie. I watched the intro with going back to Egypt. I skip through the silliness of the prison, and I go right to the steamship on the river, and just take off on flight from there. It is one of those comfort movies, and the music. Des and I were listening to this the last time we were working together, and there's that trombone that makes that long, low sound, and it's like the two of us were like, this music is so awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of movies, Pat, that I do what you just said, where I have a starting point. You know, Spies Like Us is one of them, where it's like, hey, I could take or leave some of the opening scenes. This movie, some of my favorite scenes are in the first, 4 minutes. Like, this is a movie I want to just start from the beginning, and I'll just fall asleep when it happens. All right.
We should also mention that it is the 25th anniversary of the movie this weekend. So that was, we had actually decided to do the Mummy, and then I found out that it was the anniversary, and I was like, well, look at that. I don't know how we worked that
Yeah.
out so perfectly, but hey, I'll
Yeah,
take it.
that was
Great
just by
timing.
happenstance. It was just luck. We didn't plan it that way, but I'll take it.
Shh. Yes, we did.
Okay. I mean, I did. I just didn't let you guys in on the decision. Okay.
Oh, is that what
Yeah.
it
Right,
is?
right, because you're a genius.
Okay. I know. We've already covered that. Okay. And now it is
Bruce Lee.
time for the Fast Five. And I think I'm going to change up the Fast Five for our segment for these three hosts. Because if you listen to the show, you know there's different versions of Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? We do one with Tony that's usually geared towards horror. We do the Dysfunctional Date Night with Mikki and Tony, where, you know, we do pretty much ever. I mean, you know, it's all good. So for
Yeah,
this
whatever we
one,
feel.
yeah, this one, which is kind of morphed into like a stoners podcast since I and Dylan have started taking edibles. We're going to do, yes, I'm going to turn the Fast Five for this in particular one into Clash of the Munchies. And we're going to do this until I'm sick of it. So,
Did you say Clash of the Monkeys?
Davy Jones versus Mike Nesmith.
I like
Go.
that. I'm going to take Davy Jones every time. All
He's
right.
so dreamy.
So he is very dreamy. Actually, that brings me back to the episode of the Brady Bunch where he actually takes Marcia to her prom. But I digress.
That's true.
I digress. And he was very dreamy in that episode. Okay. So anyway, like I said, for until I get sick of doing this, we're gonna be doing Clash of the Munchies on this version of Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? So let's get started. I'm going to give you three choices, and you're gonna tell me which munchie is better. Number one, this is gonna be Frito Flavor Twists. Frito Flavor Twists. And I'm going to give you three flavors, and you're going to tell me which one is the dominant Frito Flavor Twist. Number one, the honey barbecue. Number two, the chili cheese. Or number three, the discontinued cheddar ranch. And people went crazy when they took this one off the shelf. So, Flynn, which of these do you like to watch? Do you like to eat while you're playing video games? Listen, I took a huge edible.
There's no need to explain.
Okay,
We all know.
okay.
We all know.
Okay.
We all know.
We
It
all
was
know.
good though. It was like this
Uh,
taffy one. It was like a giant
Oh,
chunk of
God.
candy. It was delicious. Called Betty's Eddies.
Yeah.
So if they want to, if they would like to support the show, Betty's Eddies, contact me and yeah, get on board. Okay, sorry.
I
Lynn.
do love a good Betty's
I
Eddies.
do
It's
love
true.
a good Betty's Eddy.
So I really did enjoy the ranch one. I liked it a lot, but I am a honey barbecue girl. I love that Frito.
Mm. And Pat, which one? I already know.
Oh, ranch, without a doubt.
Oh, ranch, really? I would.
Ranch. Oh, no question.
I thought.
When I found
He was the
out-
one that turned us on.
Yeah, but I
to
thought
him.
it was
Yeah.
the honey barbecue with Pat. I thought that was his jam.
No, it was the
No.
ranch because there's all kinds of ranch chips and Doritos and things like that.
Pat,
But the flavor was never as strong as with Frito-Lay brand.
Pat, didn't you corner the delivery guy in the supermarket and like
I
do
didn't
something
corner
weird?
them. I did not corner any delivery
Okay,
guy,
talk to me.
okay? I'm
What
not that
happened?
way.
Tell the story.
I was food shopping like I normally do, and it just happened to be Frito-Lay was putting up their display and refilling their racks, and I grabbed a couple of bags like I would, and they told me they were discontinuing them to get them while I could, and I immediately picked up another 4 bags. No kidding. And I was like, well, this could be it. You know, I'll come back next week. There may not be any, but there were. So I grabbed like another 4 bags.
Okay.
And as I'm doing the rest of my shopping, the Frito-Lay vendor came in and told me he had a bunch in the back that he wasn't putting on the rack.
$5,000. I need $5,000.
$5,000. Exactly. And I met him in the alley and gave him $5,000.
Listen, you could take those bags of cheddar ranch and eat them yourself. I don't give a fuck. No, man. I don't even eat cheddar ranch. I eat honey barbecue. King size. Okay, if you haven't seen
Okay, let's make it clear. It wasn't Cheddar Ranch. It was Ranch.
No, it's Cheddar Ranch was the discontinued
no,
series.
No, it wasn't. It was Ranch.
It says Cheddar Ranch in my notes here.
I think it was
your
ranch.
notes are wrong. It was Ranch.
All right, listen.
I think it was just ranch.
Listen, quickly Google it, Delyn. Can you do 2 seconds?
Yes.
I
yes.
know Ed
Yes.
wants
Just
to know,
relax.
too.
I got.
Okay. So I will tell you the correct answer is honey barbecue. You two are wrong. Honey barbecue. That is the correct answer. That is the best flavor of Frito-Lay flavor twists. Delyn, do you have an answer on that?
So the flavor is classic ranch, not cheddar ranch. So clearly you were not paying attention.
Okay. I would like to try a cheddar ranch. I think that would be very tasty. That sounds very good, especially right now. Okay. Number two. The product is Doritos. And the 3 choices are Cool Ranch, classic nacho cheese, or taco. Pat, what flavor is the dominant flavor of Doritos?
I'm going with classic nacho. As much as I like ranch, I didn't like their ranch. Wasn't good enough.
And have you tried the taco?
I do not remember.
Okay, you would if you had, so that's going to be a no.
Okay,
Delyn,
solid no.
which flavor is your favorite?
Cool Ranch.
Okay, the correct answer is taco. And anybody that's eaten it knows why. That flavor is fucking ridiculously good.
Taco.
Okay, number 3. So far, you guys haven't got one right. God, you're dumb. This topic is going to be pastries. Pastries. So I'm going to give you 3 pastries. I use the word pastry loosely. It comes in a little clear package in this, so it can literally stay on the shelf for throughout like the apocalypse. Lots of preservatives here. So here we go. Ring dings, funny bones, or Suzy Q's. Pat, what is the dominant pastry?
Funny bone. No question.
Okay, and Delyn, which is the best?
Fucking funny bone.
Dude, you guys are fucking stupid. Who likes a peanut butter pastry?
Me.
Everybody.
It's delicious.
No.
Everybody.
You guys
Mickey
are
loves it.
completely
It's
wrong.
Mickey's favorite. It's my favorite. It's Pat's favorite. You're the wrong one, kid.
Listen, all right. So the correct answer is Suzy Q because
Oh,
they're fucking
please.
delicious.
Oh,
All right,
give
listen,
me a fucking
to-
break.
go to either the Facebook page or go to the YouTube channel and please leave a comment on your favorite pastry out of those 3. I think Suzy Q is gonna win, but
Nah.
we'll see. Okay.
And
Why
I
don't you
believe
just
they're
pick those
called
little
snack
Debbie's-
cakes.
Yeah, why don't you just pick those little Debbie trees while you're at it? Those gross things. Like,
Oh,
bleh.
Jesus.
you guys are 0 for 3. Let's see if we can get this one right. Number 4, frozen pizzas. Frozen pizzas. Number 1, Stouffer's French bread pizza. And Pat, for you, it could be pepperoni or cheese. Fine either way. Number 2, Elio's the square pizza in a box. Or number 3, the classic Mama Celeste. So those are your 3 choices. Delyn, which is your favorite of the 3?
I mean, they're all garbage. We know this.
Yes.
I don't know. When I'm having the thing for the, the
I know what you're
comfort
thinking.
food thing, it's like I do love a Celeste, but I also love a French bread pizza. You get that French bread pizza, you bite it, you burn the roof of your mouth. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
and you
dude.
can't stop eating it. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Dude, you cannot eat a Stouffer's French bread pizza without burning your mouth. I don't care if you let it sit on the counter for fucking 2 days. It's still in the very center. It's still hot enough to burn your mouth. By the time you're
Magma.
done with that, you are literally eating fucking the top of the roof of your mouth because it's just falling off into the cheese.
I have an advantage.
What is it?
I do like the Stouffer's. If those were the only 3 pizzas I was allowed to choose from in the store,
Yep.
it would have to
Yep.
be Stouffer's. But I do have an advantage. Dentures.
Oh, so it's covering that piece of his top of his
No
roof of his
roof
mouth.
of the mouth problem.
Okay, so if there's anybody out there looking for a man to make out with, Pat's the guy.
Oh, dear God.
Okay. Okay. So, Delyn, you have chosen Stouffer's?
Yeah.
Okay. And Pat, you have chosen?
Stouffer's.
The correct answer is Stouffer's because we all remember it from when we were little kids. Okay. Is it the best one? I'm not sure, but I could go for it right now. Okay. And the last one. We're like an hour in.
I know, dude, if you put a Stouffer's pizza in front of me right now, I'm eating it and burning the roof of my mouth. It's okay.
Oh, fuck yeah. Okay. Number 5. This is going to be an ice cream showdown. I'm going to give you 3 ice creams. Number 1, the mighty Klondike bar. Any flavor. You choose. Doesn't matter. Number 2, the King Cone. Again, any flavor. Doesn't matter. And last but not least, the classic Hood ice cream sandwich. When it gets a little melted and soft and it's sticking to your fingers. Dylan, which one is the superior ice cream snack?
I do love me a king cone, but I'm going to go with the ice cream sandwich.
Pat, which one?
Oh, I'm going Klondike.
Okay, the correct answer is the Hood ice cream sandwich because you get to eat the breading off your fingers when it's done. Okay, so
What a surprise.
that's it. You guys got one right. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. All right, let's move on to the actual movie
I
review
get 2
show.
right. I get the sandwich too.
Oh, you did get the sandwich. That's right.
Rude.
Okay. Let's do a little box
Dumbass.
office on this one. Wow, we really picked up speed. We caught some wind in our sails at about the 2-minute mark. Okay, box office. With a budget of $80 million and a box office gross of, get this, $416 million. This was
Unbelievable.
considered fucking box office gold. Like, yeah,
Bonanza.
Big time.
bonanza. Yes. Bag it. That's Die Hard, if you didn't catch it. Okay, quick synopsis. Let's see here. Yes, quick synopsis. At an archaeological dig in the ancient city of Hamunaptra, an American serving in the French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak havoc as he searches for the reincarnation of his long lost love. All right, that's great. I can't wait to get into this thing. Delyn, break it down.
All right, are you ready for me to take it away?
Yep.
Here we go. It's a little lengthy, but stick with me. We'll get there. In
All right.
Egypt, circa 1290 BC, High Priest Imhotep engages in an affair with Anck-Sun-Amun, the mistress of Pharaoh Seti, despite strict rules that other men are forbidden to touch her. When the pharaoh discovers their tryst, Imhotep and Anck-Sun-Amun murder the monarch. Imhotep is dragged away by his priests before the pharaoh's guard can discover his involvement. Anck-Sun-Amun then kills herself, intending for Imhotep to resurrect her. After Anck-Sun-Amun's burial, Imhotep breaks into her crypt and steals her corpse. He and his priests flee across the desert to Hamunaptra, the city of the dead, where they begin the resurrection ceremony. However, they are caught by Seti's guards before the ritual can be completed, and Anck-Sun-Amun's soul is sent back to the underworld. For their sacrilege, Imhotep's priests are mummified alive, and Imhotep himself is forced to endure the curse of the Hamdai. His tongue is cut out, and he is buried alive with a swarm of flesh-eating scarabs. The ritual curses him to become an immortal walking plague if he is ever to be resurrected. He is buried under
The
high
end.
security. Well, if you didn't have people digging in the sands, yeah, for sure. He is buried under high security, sealed away in a sarcophagus below a statue of the Egyptian god Anubis, and kept under strict surveillance throughout the ages by the Magi, descendants of Seti's palace guards. If Imhotep was ever to be released, the powers that made him immortal would allow him to unleash a wave of destruction and death upon the earth.
Nice.
Des,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yes. Dude, I've got a ton to say about these, so just buckle in.
Okay.
So this movie is really great, right? I mean, it checks every single box for me. You know, script, characters, character building, just everything you want. There is a problem, and it's not the special effects, because I love the wonky special effects. It feels creature double feature. It's a fun monster movie, and this is what I want. I don't want it to be overdone like the one with Tom Cruise, where the movie starts taking itself too seriously, because then it's not the fun ride we're going to go on. But there's just so many questions about decisions being made in this movie that I mean, I'm gonna bring them up because I have to, because we're doing a review of it. They don't bother me, but I mean, come on. So first off, I love these opening scenes of Egypt. To see it as a beautiful city in its prime, as a working city, it was really great. I love the skies. I love the fires burning. I love seeing some of these, you know, like King Tut being built, these big giant thing. It was really great for me. All the Egyptian scenes in ancient Egypt really worked for me. Um, so
You mean the Sphinx?
act yes, this was it the Sphinx? I don't think it was the Sphinx. I think it was King Tut.
No, King Tut is King Tut. He's not a big statue in the it's the Sphinx is in the sands.
Okay.
But there's no
King Tut.
Okay.
there's no face of a cat on the Sphinx. It's a man's head on a lion's body.
I think if you go and look back, it's a face,
Listen, you
not
know me, and you know I
it
know
doesn't matter.
Egypt, so don't
Okay.
start. It was the Sphinx.
Oh, well, then it definitely was the Sphinx. you, you know what? In retrospect, now that I really think about it, it was definitely the Sphinx. Fun fact. Oh, we forgot the fun fact, so I'll just give you mine. Brandon Fraser actually was hung in the hanging scene, um, and he was injured severely and still has problems with his neck and with PTSD from the stunt gone wrong to this day. So there you go. If you watch that scene, it's pretty intense knowing that that thing fucking got him. It's like, whoa,
Yeah, Rachel Weisz said
he
he
dropped
actually
quite
had
a
to be
ways.
he had to be resuscitated. That's how bad it was.
Revived. Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. And I mean, he fell quite a ways. Go ahead.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. Tom Cruise was initially one of the actors to play Rick O'Connell, only to play the lead in the reboot in 2017.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
crazy.
awful.
I
It's terrible.
liked
That
it.
movie is not good.
I enjoyed it.
Not good.
I enjoyed it, but not the same way I enjoyed this one. They were two different movies.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because again, it took itself too seriously and it wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
I thought. Anyway, that was my take. All right.
I don't think it was supposed to be fun because. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let's continue.
Yeah, let's go on with this one. So Anuksu Numan, what's her name?
I think you did that on purpose.
I didn't.
I think you did that on purpose.
Anaxunama? I don't know. Well,
Oh
how do
my
you?
God.
An
You
ox
could
on a
so
moon.
An ox on the
so
moon.
some
An
people
ox on a moon.
some people call her an ox on the moon, and that
Okay.
it might be easier for you.
Okay, so an ox on the moon. This actress and this character, the way I've drawn, she's absolutely beautiful, and she's worth the trouble, in my opinion. You know, she's that beautiful. This actress was stunning, and the way they had her dressed up
Yes.
and the makeup, and just oh my god, she was awesome.
That
but
whole
was
thing
it-
is paint. The
Yeah.
whole thing.
It's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's-
the body paint in that was amazing.
Yeah, that's all paint. She has a
Amazing.
little loincloth on, and I think they just put like little stickers over her nipples. And other than
Stickers.
that, it's all
Yeah.
paint, the whole thing.
I wish I was a little loincloth. So was it just
I
me?
wish it was the artist that did the body paint.
Was it just me, or was Imatop like rubbing his thumb, like
Did
on
you
her?
call him Imatop?
Yeah, he did.
Imatop.
And I was
Imatep.
busy hitting the pipe to correct him.
Imatop.
Imhotep.
Imhotep.
Alright.
They only say his name
Imhotep.
15,000 times in this movie. How can you not get it right?
No shit. How do you
Sorry, I
fucking
don't have a
get
fucking-
that wrong?
I
Imhotep.
don't have a doctorate in fucking
Imhotep.
ancient Egypt. It
Oh
seemed
man.
No, you've only seen the movie 5 million times, dumbass.
it seemed to me like he was rubbing her shoulder, like he was trying to smudge the paint on it. Did you guys think that was? Well, no. Hear me out. Did you guys think that might be intentional as a setup?
No.
See, because I felt like it
No.
was a setup. Because
Not even
yes,
close.
100%. Because here's the thing, he
No.
is rubbing it, and they close up on his thumb, and he is rubbing it hard up and down. Yeah, I thought it was intentional. I thought that he rubbed the paint on purpose so that the Pharaoh would see it. Said he looks like he could have played guitar in like Anthrax or Limp Bizkit, like with that big fucking soul patch. I was like, he looks cool, man. He's fucking. I like the way this guy looked. Yeah, I don't know, and I also felt like Anouk Samunun should have tried
Oh
to
my
escape. she should have tried to escape with Imatop before committing suicide, right? Like
Now
it's
he's doing it on
it felt
purpose.
like no, I'm not. Listen, just whatever with the two names. I can't pronounce them. So let's just I'm gonna say what I say, and that's what it is for me. Um, don't you guys think she should have tried to escape with him? It seemed like he had a pretty good head start. I mean, he was like standing backstage watching her commit suicide. Like, why isn't she with him? Like going for the door. I don't
I
know.
think she thought that he would get away and they wouldn't realize that she was not the only one that had done it. You know, like the whole
Oh,
point was like
yeah.
if they ran away together, they did it together. If he runs away and
I
gets
got
away
it.
and she takes the heat, then he gets away and he can resurrect
But
her
she
later.
was but she was just his whore. So who would have cared if she disappeared? It's not like she was the wife.
They were considered property.
Okay. Um, yeah. Um, Jesus. There's so much going on here. I felt like Imatop could have been more discreet with the time and the location of the resurrection. Like, was he handing out flyers? You know what I mean? Like they found him in two
Well,
seconds.
they were at Hamanoptera. I don't think like people were hanging out at Hamanoptera.
And then I have this question. Why not just kill him atop?
Oh God, he's
Why
still
not just
going.
kill him atop? Why do this curse? Bury him, the book, the key, like an instruction manual on how to bring him back to life all in one spot. Like ship the key out to fucking like India. Shit, like why even have a key? Like, why do you want to put a key on this? In case somebody wants to let him out and give him control of the planet? It didn't make sense. Pat, go ahead.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, wow. Oh man.
Got a lot to say.
This is first you gotta love Imhotep. Um the like you had said, Lynn, the city and or was it Des? The way they made the city look in the beginning of the movie, the lighting with the sun. My favorite scene of that whole point is when they introduce Imhotep and you see the background behind him. You got the buildings on the left, the buildings on the right, the sun going down. The scene was like absolutely perfect.
It was. It was. The sky was so good. The colors they used at night and during the day, it was like fucking like paintings. So good.
In 1923, soldiers from the French Foreign Legion, led by American Rick O'Connell, make a final stand at Hamanoptera against an overwhelming force of, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Tuaregs. The soldiers are massacred, and O'Connell makes a final retreat inside the city, only to be cornered by a group of Tuaregs. They flee when they sense Imhotep's evil presence, and the Magi watch passively as Rick also leaves, presumably to die in the desert. 3 years later, Cairo librarian and aspiring Egyptologist Evelyn Carnahan is presented with an intricate box and map by her bumbling brother Jonathan, who says he found it in Thebes. The map seems to point the way to a lost city of Hamanatra, where all the wealth of Egypt was supposedly stored. However, the museum curator, Dr. Bay, dismisses Hamanoptera as a myth and accidentally, quote unquote, damages the map. Jonathan reveals he actually stole it from an American, later revealed to be O'Connell, who's currently in prison and may be able to tell them more about Hamanoptera. So this little spot here includes the library disaster scene where we first meet Evie and she knocks over every effing bookcase in the library. And the fun fact about this is
Yeah.
that this was a one take deal. If they had missed or something was wrong and it didn't work, it was going to take them all day to set it back up again and do it the next day. So one take, that was it.
Yeah. It's a really fun scene. You know, her like, being on the ladder. She's got this great outfit. I thought the wardrobes were really, really great in this movie. It's a fun scene, and we get, great exposition telling us about Evie and her backstory. Um, we get the intentional burning of the map by Dr. Bay. It's so subtly good because it's hinting that, he understands what he's looking at. And it can be interpreted either way. Did he burn it by accident? Did he burn it on purpose? We're going to find out later. Spoiler alert, he did it on purpose. But it's just really great. And Jonathan, her brother, he's a perfect foil to Benny. They're basically two sides to the same coin. It's really, really good. Um, and I love the shot of Anubis. So they use this shot to, bring us up to date present time in the movie. And it shows Anubis aging over 3,000 years. And I thought that was just really great. It's so much more interesting than just giving me a fucking 3,000 years later, if modern day Egypt or whatever. So really great there. The narration from Arith, is that his name?
Ardith.
From
Ardith.
Ardith.
Ardith Bay.
It's perfect. But here's my question. Why are they watching from the hilltop? It's been 3,000 years. How can they not have built like a bunker over this over 3,000 years where they stay and there's like, it's locked down and there's a door and you go, who goes there? Like, what? What? Do they just walk around the hills on fucking camels and say, nothing? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
They're silent watchers. They only get involved when they have to.
Well, obviously,
and they don't want anyone to know there's anything out there. So if there's a bunker, someone's going to say, "Well, why is there
everybody
a bunker?"
knows there's something out there. We've heard it from 20 different people in the first 5 minutes of the movie. This is not a secret. It's the city of gold or whatever the fuck they're calling it. Everybody knows it's there. There's got to be some sort of fucking bunker over that with a legion of these soldiers, and it's a hole in the script. But we meet Benny and Rick here. I instantly love the characters and I love their chemistry. And even though we're supposed to hate Benny, I love this character right up into the end of the movie. I love him, and I love every single character in this movie. Everyone. They're all so charming. And yeah, those are my thoughts on these scenes. I thought it was
so well written, well written, because like if you think about it too, you have the situation where you meet Evie and in the first 3 minutes you're meeting her, you know who she is. You know exactly who she is. You know she's a klutz. You know she's an Egyptologist. You know she's trying to live up to her parents' expectations and to her own expectations.
Yep.
You meet Jonathan. You know exactly who he is. You know he's a gambler. You know he's a showboater. You know, like everybody you meet, you know who they are within the first 3 minutes, and it's great.
Yeah. And the plot between fucking Anani and fucking the Pharaoh and the mummy. And I mean, just through small amounts of, narration and really smart fucking tight script writing, we're really getting a lot of information without huge dumps, which was the problem I had with Clue last week, was they wanted to say everything and I just didn't want to hear it.
Leave Clue alone.
All right, Pat, what do you got on these opening scenes?
This was one of my favorite parts when you meet Jonathan. Is he's spooking his sister.
Yeah,
he's making sounds and gets her to creep around. And when he pops out of the sarcophagus with the mummy on top of him, and he's waving the thing's arm,
I love it.
The first time I saw that, I just burst out laughing. I'm like, okay. We have Jonathan. We know Jonathan's the clown. You see Benny. You know Benny will stab you in the back in a heartbeat, like you had said to Lynn. Mm-hmm. Every character is immediately defined before they even gather together on the steamship going down the Nile.
Right.
And Benny, I absolutely love Benny. Benny's the kind of little bug you want to step on. But you got to be careful. You got to wipe your shoe off. So you kind of don't want to mess with him.
I loved Jonathan, and the actor that was playing Jonathan, he had such a great comedic timing. There's some, like we were talking about, there's some scenes coming up where I was just laughing my ass off. Like, this guy's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. All right, so moving on. Rick is being led to the gallows, but tells Evie that he knows the location of the city and will take her there if she saves him. Evie successfully negotiates his release from the prison warden by offering him 25% of the found treasure. However, the warden insists on coming along in order to protect his investment. They board a ship to start their expedition to the city, where they encounter a band of American treasure hunters led by Egyptologist Dr. Alan Chamberlain and guided by your buddy and mine, Benny Gabor, a cowardly former Legion soldier who served with Rick and also knows the location of the lost city. During the journey, the boat is invaded by Medjay soldiers who are looking for Evie's box and the map. The expedition manages to fight them off, but the map is lost and the boat goes up in flames, forcing the entire party to go ashore. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan are separated from the other treasure hunters and procure camels at a nearby market. They arrive at Hamanatra at the same time as the other party, but due to tensions between the two groups, they start exploring the ruins in separate locations. Um, I love this prison warden. He's ridiculous. Just the Jonathan thing with like, oh, what they spit, they smell, and then he looks at the warden and he's like, oh yeah, that's him. It's just fantastic comedy there.
The warden is great because the lines that you're talking about there, he's basically comparing him to a camel,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the movie, he actually mimics a camel, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
And I love it. If this guy was a cartoon character, he would be a camel. Perfect. um, and talking about like physical comedy in this movie, there's some subtle things that really made me laugh out loud. And again, that I just never got from last week's movie, Clue, where you guys were like, it's there. And I'm like, it wasn't. So there's a scene after Rick punches, after Rick punches Evie's brother in the face and he goes down, and without missing a beat, she walks right over him. She like steps right over his body to get to Rick to start questioning him about the fucking. And I'm laughing. I'm like, she doesn't even blink. She's just like, boom, boom, boom.
Clearly not the first time
No.
that's happened in her presence.
So good. So good. She has absolutely no regard for her brother. And this scene between Evie and the warden haggling over Rick. Oh, I'll give you 200. I'd pay 300 to watch him hang. Like, this is great stuff. You know, he's putting his hand on her lap and she's not having it, and everybody sees it and is laughing at him. This is really great stuff. It's gold. I did have a problem. So after the hanging, we're going to see Rick on the deck, getting ready to board the boat with Evie and everybody. He's cleaned up. At the very least, he would have had a very, very bad rope burn around his neck. At the very least, right?
Oh, you're
And did he stop it?
nitpicking.
Oh, dude, I'm nitpicking. They could not have had Brandon Fraser cleaned up anymore for this fucking scene. I mean, did he stop at Supercuts for that fucking haircut? I mean, I just watched this guy hang for 5 minutes after being dropped 5 feet, and he looked like a fucking homeless man. And he walks out, and it's like, okay, good for him. We're gonna get some more really fun interactions between Benny and Rick. And I felt like these guys still wanted to be friends at some level throughout the entire movie. Like, there was banter, but it didn't feel like hatred.
It's Rick. Rick wants
know?
to be Benny's friend. Rick goes out of his way to help Benny so many times, even after Benny has proven over and over again that he will stab him in the back. And
Yeah.
I think Rick is an optimist. I think he's like an optimist to the highest level. He wants to see the best in everybody, even though he knows people are not usually at their best. But
yeah. So we didn't quickly discuss my theory on the smudging thumb on the intro of the movie. So the only reason I said that was because
we're
they're
going
in
back to
there,
that.
and yes, because I just wanted to just really get your guys' opinion when I say it the way I want to say it. So these guys have presumably been having a affair for quite a while behind the Pharaoh's back. And he knows that if you smudge the makeup, the Pharaoh is going to find out and he's going to kill her, and probably him too. So for the director to show me the thumb so aggressively rubbing that paint up and down on her shoulder, and then for the Pharaoh to come in immediately after alone, notice it while the mummy is hiding behind him, and then for them both to fucking attack and kill him and his guards to be the only ones in there. I don't know, man. It felt like a setup. It felt like an ambush to me. I mean, no?
I mean, if anything,
Well-
it was an ambush in that Priest Emotep had enough of hiding, so he decided to make a move. But I still think that it was not intended to be that way.
Gotcha. And Pat, no, you don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think basically when I see the scene, the only thing that comes to my mind is he is so
Horny?
involved with that kiss
Yeah.
that he's just not thinking smartly. Because you can see before they kiss, his hands are like hovering above her and near her and doesn't actually touch her. But as
Gotcha.
soon as they start kissing, he just totally loses control. And now all he's thinking about is her. And he's not
See,
paying attention to the skin and the makeup. That's
if
what I saw.
if I was him, the paint would have been all messy on her boobs.
What a
Oh my
surprise.
God, you're a frigging child.
And I also really liked how the character of Evie, when you first meet her, she seems a little naive and a little bit like stupid, clumsy. But as the movie goes on, you see she's the linchpin. Without her, no one's discovering anything. Like she's super, super smart. And I love that. And if you were wondering, like I was, how the horses were getting beaten in this race to the Habanatra, how they were getting beaten by these camels, because horses run 55 miles an hour. Camels can run like 30. So I'm like, oh, bullshit, these camels. Turns out that the shape of the camel toe is not only sexy, but also allows them to run on top of the sand.
Oh,
No, it's true. So a horse's feet sink into the sand where a
God help
camel
us.
can actually walk on top of the sand because of the camel toe. Okay. That's what I got, Pat.
That's it. I'm done.
Well,
I'm
it's a
done.
fact.
What is wrong with you?
It's a fact.
Put it in the can.
Oh my God.
Wow.
This is my life, Pat. This is it.
I know.
This is it.
I know.
I have to put up with this bullshit all day long.
I'd like to interject as we're talking about camels. One of the
We're talking about
funniest
camel toe.
scenes that happens with Jonathan. Well, Jonathan's a great comic relief
Yes.
character. But one of my favorite scenes is they're going across the desert. It's obviously going to be a long trip. They're starting to sleep in the on the camels. And the warden is snoring. And Jonathan takes the whip and cracks the guy and wakes him up to stop him from snoring,
That's
and
fucking
then
great.
pretends it didn't happen. Laugh my ass off every time I see it.
Yeah, it's funny too because you'll see that Rick also, anytime he has an opportunity to like whip the guy with a rope or just whatever, he's continuously being aggressive towards the warden, and I don't blame him.
No, not at all. He tried to hang the guy.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, the Americans have several of their workers open a compartment under the statue of Anubis, but is pressurized and filled with salt acid so that the men are killed. Inside, they find a chest which they do not open just yet because that's probably smart after these dudes just lost their faces. Meanwhile, Evelyn is looking for the Book of Amun-Ra, a solid gold book supposedly capable of taking life away. Her team discovers the sarcophagus buried directly below the statue of Anubis. Evelyn's box turns out to function as a key that opens up the box. Suddenly, the prison warden runs by screaming in pain. Unbeknownst to the rest, he had found a decorative scarab, but it contained a real scarab that entered his body and ate his way into his brain. The warden knocks himself into a wall and dies instantly. So, were either of you aware of the accidental penis in this shot?
No.
So when the
No.
warden is like freaking out, his penis pops out of his pants. If you can go to YouTube and watch it. I swear to God.
I'll take your word for it. I know Des.
Yeah,
was
for some
say
reason
that.
he didn't want to wear underwear, and boop, there it is. It popped out of a little hole in his pants. So
Yikes.
Okay, well, there's a fun fact you
Scary.
didn't need to know.
I love this one scene. We're gonna get the American guy. He's asked his expert if Rick's team knows something they don't know, because he sees them there with Edie by the giant statue, and the guy says they're led by a woman. What does a woman know? And I thought that was really great because the very next scene it cuts to is Evie spitting facts on like everything at the dig site, like in great detail, under the Anubis statue. Like
Yeah.
she's already led her people right where they need to go, and she knows fucking everything. And it's such a nice scene split to go, from the ignorance of this one guy just dismissing her because she's a woman, and I get it, it was a million years ago, to her just obviously being the smartest person
Yeah.
within fucking 100 miles. It's fucking great.
Yeah,
Evie
she's
knowing
the brains of the group, no question.
she is the brains of both crews. Evie knowing
Yeah.
how the mirrors work underground, so it's dark, and she's gonna immediately recognize this from because she just knows everything. And he positions these mirrors and it lights up the entire place, and I just thought it was great. Again, more great character building. I mean, she just keeps unfolding before my eyes. She's great. I absolutely love her. She could have been a throwaway character. She could have just been Rick's love interest and been there to be like, oh, save me. And she saves everyone with her brains over and over again. And I thought it was really I was really happy that they did that. It was fun. Yeah, and this is where the movie kicks into overdrive. Um, it was already had a really brisk pace due to not having like the story being told to me in like super long exposition dumps between characters, but rather short, like effective narrations. And I really appreciated that because, again, you don't always have to fucking overword it to get your story across. And I never got bored while watching this movie, which could have very easily happened because whenever there's a little love side plot, usually I just start like tuning out during those parts of the movie. Um, and the warden being
They
eaten.
definitely did not overdo the love.
No, no, but at the end, I believed it and I believed in it and I thought it felt genuine because again, I cared about the
Yes.
characters and I really think these two actors had a little off stage or off screen chemistry. It just feels like at the very least they liked each other, on a friends basis, unlike what we saw in Blade Runner to make my point. The warden being eaten from the inside out by the scarabs. This was fucking great. The effects were definitely dated, right? But it was effective in that fun monster movie, like creature double feature thing. And for me, it actually made it for fun because I was able to sit and watch it and laugh with it. I thought it was really great. It wasn't taking itself too seriously. And if that had been overdone and been too gory and like kind of creepy looking,
Right.
I wouldn't have laughed with it. Pat?
Yeah, there was nothing gory about this, and the love story was very subtle
Yep.
between Rick and Evie, and it was kind of creepy between Imhotep and Evie because he kept trying to kiss
Yeah.
her, and his face is nothing but rotting flesh.
Yeah.
And you can't take that very seriously in a love story.
I
No.
also really appreciate, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but pretty much anytime somebody gets stabbed or anything like that, you don't actually see it. You see like their face, you see the shadow.
Silhouette.
There's not a lot of
Yeah.
blood,
Yeah.
very little blood, and they did that on purpose to keep the rating down because I'm sure like this could have, like if there's a bunch of gore, it's gonna raise the rating on it. And I
Yep.
appreciate that because you still know exactly what's going on. You're not confused at all.
Yeah, but to the point, that's exactly what this movie was. And it felt like this wasn't a horror movie. It wasn't a gory movie. It wasn't a scary movie. It was a fun ride. And that was what we
Right,
were talking about with Ghostbusters. We didn't need the whole movie to be like that opening scene in the library. That's not what that movie was. So I was
right.
glad that they made these choices.
It is a quiet evening at the dig site when the Magi attack. The warrior named Ardith Bay warns them of the evil buried in the city and gives them one day to leave. His group then rides out. Rather than heed his warning, the two expeditions continue to work on their respective projects. The sarcophagus is opened, revealing the still juicy remains of Imhotep. The team of Americans, meanwhile, open the chest in spite of the warning on its lid that threatens to kill everyone who takes its contents. They discover the Black Book of the Dead, accompanied by canopic jars carrying Anaxanamun's preserved organs. Each of the Americans take a jar as loot while Dr. Chamberlain takes the book, but Benny flees the scene out of fear for the curse. That night, Evelyn takes the Book of the Dead from the American's tent. Her key can open it. She reads a page aloud, accidentally awakening Imhotep's mummified remains. Immediately, the first plague announces itself. A swarm of locusts invades the terrain, forcing everyone inside the city. The entire group is separated into smaller parties when a giant army of scarabs breaks loose and eats everything in its path. One of the Americans gets lost and is attacked by Imhotep, who takes his eyes and tongue while partially regenerating his own body. Evelyn also encounters Imhotep, and he seems to recognize her as Anaxanamun. However, Rick shoots him down before everyone flees the catacombs. They run into Ardith and his group of Magi warriors again. He berates them for reviving Imhotep, who will now bring death and destruction. The only thing left to do is flee the city until a way can be found to kill him again. The entire group leaves, but Benny is left behind. He also encounters Imhotep, but successfully pleads for his life and is allowed to become his slave. Even though this movie is 25 years old now and the CGI is a little suspect in moments, overall it really does hold up because this part here is especially is special effect heavy. The scarabs look good, the desiccated mummy looks good. On occasion, when he's walking around desiccated, he's a little cartoony looking, but for 25 years, it was really well done. And I was saying to Des earlier, to me, it is even more egregious that when they did the Scorpion King later, it looked as bad as it did because this
Yeah.
looks so good and it made so much money. Like, put the money into the CGI. The Scorpion King ended up looking like garbage. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. But this movie was Saturday morning cartoons. This is a bowl of fucking
Yeah.
like Captain Crunch on Saturday morning. Like I loved the scenes when he looked cartoon. So listen, so the attack on the Kamaji, this is a nice tool to bring the two groups together. I appreciated that. It worked.
Mhm.
But this group is such a joke, man. It's like now these people are fucking there. They've already been underground. It's like these people have been fucking entrusted to save keep the world from being destroyed by this mummy. It's like Edie and her fucking stupid brother are like in there digging around, and they're gonna come down and actually confront them now, and then they're still gonna go on to unleash the fucking mummy. It's like they are completely inept. So again, I have to ask, why is everything needed to unleash the mummy buried in one spot? Not gonna work. Like I said, loved the fucking look of the mummy through every stage of his reanimation. And I really loved watching the stages until finally he's, the handsome dude again. And he plays so well off Brendan Fraser. We're going to get a scene coming up a little later where, Brendan says, "I'll be seeing you again." And the mummy looks at him and like gives him a wink. Oh, I was like, boing.
I love that.
Just a little smirk from Arnold Vosloo as Imhotep when Rick says,
Yep.
"I'll be seeing," and Rick like points the torch towards him. They don't understand each other, but the looks on the faces, and when Imhotep gives that tiny little smirk as he turns away, you're like, "Oh, that's like you guys." It's like num 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 num. Gimme. That was awesome.
For me, I felt like the actor that played Imhotep controlled the screen in that exchange of looks. Like for me, when he gave fucking Rick the look, that's when I popped a little fucking wood. It was good. It was good.
I've seen Arnold Vosloo in so many things. He's just such a great actor.
He is.
He really is a great actor.
Yeah, he played a villain on Bones, and he ended up killing one of my favorite characters. So I was very, very salty about that for a while.
He played a character on NCIS that reoccurred 3, 4, 5 times, and he was playing a Mossad agent out of Israel. And you can only imagine how good he did that accent.
Yeah.
So the scenes with Benny becoming the mummy's right-hand man, I fucking love these scenes. And specifically like when he first gets cornered and he starts pulling out all the religious, like, he's like, Jesus, Noah, that's not gonna work. And he finally goes to cha cha cha. I thought that was so great. And these are the little things that are just the character building moments that make me fall in love with all of these characters. You get so personal with them all, and they're all just they're just so nice. I just really liked them.
Benny was so terrified.
Oh yeah,
as he's pulling out all these medallions, and I love the way he starts reciting the chant, but then it kind of fades away and gets quieter because it ain't working.
Yep.
But Benny's true character shows up again as he goes from terrified to the greedy bastard when Imhotep shows him the rewards, and all of a sudden Benny's like in love with Imhotep.
He's this fucking
Mike.
He's his intern going forward.
It was so.
Let me get you some eyeballs and a cup of coffee. Fucking great.
Oh man. So both groups return to Cairo. Rick and the Americans plan to leave Egypt, but Evelyn decides to stay, reasoning that releasing the curse was their fault, so they have the responsibility to stop him, which I agree, Evie. It is their fault, especially yours, because you read from the book.
Can I say one thing? I'm sorry to interrupt. It's the one thing I wanted to bring up, and I've said this to Des when we work. There's a lot of little things about this you have to let go because it is such a fun movie. But explain, I need someone to explain to me, how is it she can read the Book of the Dead?
Mhm.
She understands what she's saying as she's reading these words and doesn't realize that she's waking Imhotep
Because she
up.
doesn't believe in.
How do you read that and translate it? And I mean, and then the doctor wakes up with the classic line, "No, you must not read from the book." How is it she could read the book but doesn't know what the fuck
She
she's
does, because she
doing?
doesn't believe in reanimated mummies and curses. She's a fucking scientist. She's a archaeologist. She's doesn't. She's not even. No,
Yeah,
she's a
that's right. She did
librarian.
make a point of
Yeah,
saying
she's a
that.
Yeah.
librarian.
She did make a
She
point.
doesn't
Yeah.
believe in it.
Okay. All right. I just needed to
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
out.
Also, we talked earlier about callbacks, and this is, here where the plagues start. At the very beginning of the movie, the Dr. Bay had said to her, "You're worse than the plagues of Egypt." And here now
Mm.
the plagues come. Like the callbacks,
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So I'm going
Yeah.
to continue on here. So that afternoon, the next plague announces itself, water turning into blood, signaling that Imhotep is nearby. The group deduces that Imhotep will go after the four men who took the Book of the Dead and the canopic jars. Benny has indeed taken Imhotep to Cairo, helping him trace the Americans. Rick and Jonathan track down the American whose eyes were stolen, only to find his desiccated body, and Imhotep slowly regenerating his own. Rick tries to kill Imhotep, but he is invulnerable to weapons. Only the presence of a cat in the room startles him, and he flees in a dust storm. Rick returns to his quarters as the second plagues start. Violent hailstorms ravage the city. He locks Evelyn in her room to keep her safe from Imhotep, ordering the remaining two Americans to stand guard while he and Jonathan leave to warn Dr. Chamberlain. The doctor's chamber is empty, but they witness Imhotep killing Dr. Chamberlain in the streets, taking the black book, and releasing a swarm of flies. Imhotep proceeds to Evelyn, entering the room and consuming the body of the American on guard. He enters the sleeping Evelyn's bedroom through the keyhole by transforming into sand and tries to kiss her. Rick and Jonathan and the remaining American enter and scare him away by threatening him with a cat. If you know this guy's coming, even if there's a slight chance he's coming, you guys all gonna split up? Like, come on, guys. I'm
Listen,
gonna go get a bourbon. Okay, see ya. Like, you morons, stay together.
listen. This isn't a stay together or split up situation. Go get the bourbon. You're dead, or get on a plane and get out of Egypt. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Whether they're together or whether they're separate, he's going to
Yeah,
suck them dry
doesn't
one way or
matter.
the other, and it doesn't really
Like
matter.
I'm on.
If they're together, the movie's over in
Yeah.
5 minutes.
In fact, they should have split up to make them harder to fucking catch on, and they should have gone on planes. Got the fuck out of there. Like I'm going to,
Yeah, true.
yeah, going to fucking Chicago or something. Um,
Well, they tried to get the boat, but it didn't leave
right,
until the
right.
morning.
So then what are you gonna do? Go sit at the bar and get drunk? That's what I'm doing because you got 12 hours to kill in Mummyville. Okay. So these Cairo scenes, especially the one in the bar, they really reminded me of like a colorized version of Casablanca. I thought they got it right. I really, really loved the bar scenes. And
They did it in Marrakesh.
yeah, it really just felt good to me. Like when every time that scene comes on, I'm like, I keep waiting for Humphrey Bogart
And
to
of course,
fucking waltz
yeah,
in.
Winston walking through the water through the
Yeah.
fountain, and he's like, some
Oh.
idiot spilt his drink, and he
Yeah.
just keeps walking through it every single time. It's just like, oh my god!
It's so good.
But this is another
He
callback.
does it at least.
Yeah.
He does it at least
Yeah.
twice.
And this is another callback because he says, "I wish I had gone down like those guys in the sand. Instead, I'm just rotting here with booze and boredom."
Boredom.
Yeah.
Boredom and
Yep.
booze.
Yep. So
Um,
there's going to be another callback to that. Love it.
We get this. We're gonna get this next layer of Benny, where he is now the mummy's fucking right hand man. I love this. I felt terrible for the poor American that was being parted out
Yeah.
when he's
Yeah.
sitting there with his eyes gone, and fucking Benny's like, "I am sorry, but more is needed," and I'm like, "Oh no!"
Oh,
Holy shit!
Yeah.
it's one of the scenes that you just don't like Benny very much.
Yeah.
Because he's such a little. He's just a henchman.
He is a
You know what I
henchman.
mean? Like in the old movies with Bela Lugosi, he's the henchman.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Why didn't Rick run down to the local pound and grab like a dozen cats and like just put them in fucking Evie's room? So here's the thing. Do you guys remember Flavor Flav with the giant clock on his
Yeah.
necklace?
Yeah.
I'd be wearing
Yeah.
a cat on my necklace. Like that's what I'd be wearing.
It scares me to say that I was just thinking the same thing. They should all be like wearing cats on chains,
Yeah.
cats tied to them. I
Yeah.
can't believe I thought the same way you did. That scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime they show the sky in this movie, it's so good. So they show the hailstorm coming, right? With the fire hail coming down. And it looks a little extreme. Like, I don't know if they overdid it. Like, it seems to me like the Egypt would be burning if that much fire was falling from the sky. But I loved it. I thought it looked really good. I loved all these scenes.
The only thing I didn't like about that scene was it starts out by showing flames coming out of the sky and hitting these guards in the fort, and it literally looks like a flamethrower is just being pointed down at the top of them.
Perfect.
Yet the same fire is punching through stone domes, knocking out buildings. I'm like, boy, that's some bitchin' fire,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm with you. All right. Go ahead.
Oh,
It's just
man.
the fire looks so like soft and fluid, and yet when they show the scene when it's punching and destroying the buildings, they might as well have been
Right,
meteors.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
It's the only thing that I found about that scene was like, okay, that's just you got to keep it the same. Like have a rock fall on the guy or something, not
Yeah.
just like a pillar of fire.
So the group goes to the museum, hoping that museum curator Dr. Bay may have some answers. They are astonished to find him together with Ardith Bay, the Magi. Dr. Bay reveals to also be a member of the secret society swarmed to prevent Imhotep's resurrection, which is why he purposely tried to burn the map. He theorizes that Imhotep will fear cats, the guardians of the underworld, until he is fully immortal. He also thinks that Imhotep intends to resurrect a Moon, using Evelyn's body to regenerate it. All of a sudden, a solar eclipse occurs, so they have to make haste. Evelyn hypothesizes that if the Black Book of the Dead brought Imhotep back, the Gold Book of Amun-Ra can kill the high priest once again. The group finds a tablet in the museum that describes the location of both books, and Evelyn deduces that the Gold Book must be buried beneath the statue of Horus. It blows my mind a little bit that Evelyn is figuring this out, not Dr. Bay, who has, dozens of years of experience, but that's okay. At the moment, a large group of natives, covered in boils and sores, the next plague, and under Imhotep's spell, surround the museum. The heroes leave the museum by car, but the remaining American is captured during the pursuit and consumed by Imhotep. Finally cornered by his followers, the fully regenerated Imhotep offers Evelyn to come with him in exchange for letting the others go. She agrees, but as they leave, Imhotep goes back on his words. Dr. Bay sacrifices his life by holding back the crowd of followers while the rest flee through the sewers. Rick, Jonathan, and Ardith enlist the help of Winston Havelock, a disillusioned World War I fighter pilot, to fly them to Hamunaptra. Imhotep returns to Hamunaptra in a sandstorm carrying Evelyn and Benny, pursued by Rick's plane. Imhotep uses his powers to cause a huge sandstorm, but distracted by Evelyn, he only succeeds in letting the plane make an emergency crash landing. It kills Winston, but everyone else is fine. Rick, Jonathan, and Ardith enter Hamunaptra from another entrance to discover a new area full of Hamunaptra's famed treasures. They quickly get into a battle with Imhotep's resurrected mummy priests, so they make their way to the statue of Horus, where they find the Book of Amun-Ra. However, when cornered by the priests, Ardith sacrifices himself to allow Rick and Jonathan to escape.
So when we find out that Dr. Bay is part of the Magi, all I can think is I fast forward to the beginning of the movie. This guy is part of the Magi. He understands like how fucking serious this is. Take the map and destroy it, right? Then you need to forcefully take this key from Evie and her stupid wimpy brother. Forcefully. Like, give me fucking idiots. Give me that. And you tell them you have stumbled upon unspeakable evil, so this is over. You don't get to keep this. Now go fuck off and play in the sand. Go outside and play. You two are idiots. So this is a problem. These people are a problem. And this group, they couldn't guard a Twinkie at an Overeaters Anonymous meeting. I mean, they're inept for this. I do love the introduction of the Gold Book here. This movie does a job of showing us two sides of the same coin over and over again that work so well together. To have a Gold Book to counteract the Black Book of Death. It's so fucking cool. It's great storytelling. I love it. The whole scene with the old pilot and the mummy in the sand. This again is why I love this movie so much. I am in the presence of this character for 5 minutes and I care about him. And it's going to be the first sacrifice in the movie. And I feel the weight of the sacrifice. I mean, these are characters. I love them all and I care about them all by the end of the movie.
Except for Dr. Bay, because he was actually the first sacrifice and you jumped right over
Oh
him.
yeah. Well, I mean, did he sacrifice himself though, or did he just die?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. He does.
No, he sacrificed himself so everyone can get away into
Yeah.
the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the
Right.
scene where fucking the brother goes he walks with the zombies and says,
Oh, it's earlier, but
okay.
yes.
Oh,
It's after that. That is
yes.
my favorite
Yes, me
Jonathan
too.
scene when he starts imitating the
Oh
crowd.
god.
Imhotep.
Imhotep. And the look on his face was like, it was a combination of fear and
Dude,
It almost looks like, I
uncertainty.
can't believe this is working.
it's
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like well, this Imhotep, and you see the eyes kind of shifting around as the crowd
it's
comes up behind him.
fucking
Favorite scene with
gold.
Jonathan.
The comedic timing, the deadpan delivery, it's fucking gold. It's gold. And the mummy as in sand form, in a sandstorm form. I loved it. I know a lot of people didn't. I loved it. It was so much fun. Again, it was like reading an old creature double feature or creep show comic book. It was so good. And when Evie
Right.
grabs the mummy and kisses him, and he opens his eyes and looks at her like he can't believe she's kissing him. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. And then we're gonna get the personal sacrifices by Dr. Bay, by Meredith, and they have weight because I know I mispronounced it, whatever. But they have weight because I care about the characters. So yeah, it's checking all the boxes for me.
I love when they're on the plane and he says to Jonathan, "Hey, how you doing?" And Jonathan's like, "Do I look like I'm doing okay?" And then he looks over to Ardith and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And Ardith is like, like
Having a
so much
ball.
fun.
Yeah, I love
Having a ball. Jonathan's terrified, and Ardette is just having the time of his life.
So Imhotep, meanwhile, has resurrected the mummified remains of Anaxenamun and is preparing to sacrifice Evelyn when Rick and Jonathan interfere. Rick frees Evelyn from the group of mummies while Jonathan reads an inscription on the book in order to kill Imhotep. Unfortunately, he only summons a group of mummified guards who end up attacking Rick, while Evelyn is attacked by the resurrected Anaxenamun. Jonathan succeeds in finishing the inscription, giving him control of the guards just before they kill Rick. He commands the guards to kill Anaxenamun instead. Imhotep turns his anger towards Rick, while Jonathan and Evelyn succeed in opening the Book of Amun-Ra. Imhotep is about to kill Rick when Evelyn recites the counter curse. Imhotep's immortal soul is taken from him, and he becomes mortal. Rick fatally stabs him, and rapidly decaying into a mummy again, he leaves the world of the living, vowing revenge. Benny, who was secretly dragging treasure outside, accidentally sets off an ancient booby trap. As Hamunaptra begins to collapse into the sand, Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan race towards the exit, with Jonathan accidentally dropping the gold book, because of course he did. Despite his numerous betrayals, Rick tries to save Benny, but he is trapped and eaten by a swarm of flesh-eating scarabs. The heroes escape before Hamunaptra disappears into the sand. Ardith, who has unexpectedly survived, waits for them outside and thanks them for their help before heading to his own home. Rick, Evie, and Jonathan ride off into the sunset on a pair of camels laden with Benny's treasure. The end.
Yes.
I love Benny in that last scene, and he's going, shush back. It's like that's not gonna work, dude.
And the funny part of it is the camera is behind the one scarab that's on like a statue or something, and Benny's trying to get rid of it with the torch, and it lets out a screech. And in my stoned mind, all I hear is that one scarab saying, "Dinner!" And all the scarabs come up and surround him. And I'm like, okay, Benny, that's called karma, pal. I see it every time. Benny's greed is what kills him.
Oh, yeah.
Because all I could think to myself, he's dragged that one big bag of gold artifacts, gets it onto the camel. He's getting ready to go, and he looks back and decides he wants more. And it's like, dude, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
You could have been rich beyond your wildest dreams, but you needed to get more.
Yeah. And fun
Karma.
fact too is that scene when he goes up to the camel and tries to pull the camel, all of the camels on set hated that actor. Just I don't know
Oh,
why.
no shit.
Yeah, nobody knows why. The camels did not like him. So that was real. The camel was like,
I love the shot
Not going.
too, when Benny is packing up the saddles. And like he said, he ultimately died from his greed, but it was the perfect slow burn all the way from the beginning. It's like, this is how he had to die. And it was really great. But they do make a point as he's, getting ready to leave, one piece of gold, they put this effect on it where it like glimmers once as he catches his eye. It's so
Glints. Yeah, the glint of the
great.
sun.
So during the second botched attempt to resurrect Anaksu Numana,
each attempt is funnier than the last.
If you can see how it's spelled if you can see how it's spelled ANCK SU-NAMUN. So I'm just reading it. Axunumum. So we get some great scenes that made me chuckle during this resurrection scene. Specifically when a mummy hand is pulling itself by the fingers across, it's dragging itself towards the sword. This dude, they stole this in that movie Cabin in the Woods. This is a scene where the hand in the elevator is dragging itself. I was like, that's so great. I loved it. Loved when he chops the mummy's legs off. Rick chops the mummy's legs off and it just drops the fucking rock on itself. It's so good, but here's my problem with this scene. The mummy has got the knife held above her, and all he has to do is now just thrust it down into her, and he's going to resurrect his wife. And he raises his hands up, and he sees fucking her brother with the gold book, and he goes, fuck it. Yeah, I'll do this later. He puts the knife down. It's like, no fucking way, man. He's driving that knife into her, killing her, and then taking care of business. So it was a problem, but it wasn't, if you know what I mean.
I mean, honestly, if he had gone like this and she had been able to like roll enough that it hit the stone, I'd believe that more than him stopping.
I would have rather had that. Like at the last minute, the brother yells no when he's got the book, and kind of distracts both of them while she moves and he misses. That's what we should have got there. So I'm just gonna go right.
Rewriting the movie again, RC.
I'm gonna go right to the end.
Oh, as always.
So the end of the movie, it's very satisfying with the reveal that Ardeth survived. I really love that. I felt the story of Anuk-Sunum and Imhotep I thought
Imhotep.
What's his name? What's his name?
Imhotep.
Okay. Tap, not top. Tap.
I felt the story of Anok-Sunum and Imhotep.
Anok-Sunum.
Listen. Can't fucking pronounce the names, all right? I told you, I can't do it. Anok-Sunum.
Gummy boy.
I couldn't do these on my best day. So, for the 10th time, I felt the story of Anok-Sunum and Imhotep was tragic and sad. It was like I was saying to Dylan earlier, it was like Romeo and Juliet. These were not bad people. They were in love. She was a slave to a pharaoh that didn't love her back. She was one of his mistresses, and she had found real love with this guy, and they just wanted to be together. So they were victims of circumstance, in my opinion. I don't feel like, and that's why I also didn't hate the mummy. One scene I have to say, when they're escaping in the car and the mummy is up in the round window in the building with his arms. Oh, it was so good. It was a killer scene.
Yeah.
He was the scariest I saw him.
And when he yells out, the jaw just enlarges and drops down further. The shadow grows behind him. It was just a great scene.
You know what it reminded me of? Almost like a callback to like Bela Lugosi, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
one of
yeah,
Yeah.
those
yeah.
really classic horror movie scenes. Yeah, it was dynamite.
The CGI of the time was like Delenn said earlier, when Imhotep regenerates after taking one of the Americans and sucking him dry, and he regenerates. It for its time, that regeneration sequence was really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And I loved the flaws in it.
Oh, the thing when the scarab comes out and goes into his mouth and he chews it, like, it's so good!
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
But if they
awesome! Awesome! Crawls out his face
Yep.
into his mouth and he eats it. It's like that is and the face, if you watch the face and his eyes, he never
Yeah.
flinches. It's as soon it's just like, "Oh, great, a snack." And he eats it. It's like, "Where'd that come from?"
But what's so great about it is if this was done today, they'd make it like, too gross. You wouldn't want to watch him chew the bug. And it would go from being fun to being like, "Ugh," oh man, they straddled the line so perfectly. It lost focus.
Yeah, they made this good in so many different ways without getting out of control and off track.
Right.
It knew what it wanted to be all the time, and I loved it. And finally, the love affair between Evie and Rick, like I said, it felt genuine to me. Due to the great character building and the on-screen chemistry between these two actors, it just worked, and I believed it. And they didn't beat me over the head with it. And like I said, it didn't lead to like 10 minutes of slow position between them where I had to watch them fall in love. They did it a completely different
It was
way.
subtle.
Yes, it was subtle and it just kept the movie going and I believed it. I love the open-ended end where you knew you were going to get a fucking sequel. Unfortunately, the sequel fell way short of this. It just was not the incredible fun ride this movie was. Wow, I just
No,
loved it.
there's too much about this. And I know you don't like kids in
Hate them.
movies, both of you. So that was one flaw in the second one.
Yep.
There was so many different things. In the first one, Rick and Evie, they were on an adventure,
Yep.
just looking for City of the Dead. In the second one, now suddenly Rick is a magi,
Ugh,
and Evie is the reincarnation of the Pharaoh's
it's
daughter,
trash.
and it's like it went too far. And the worst part of it is now Imhotep can control water.
Yeah.
It sucked. The whole thing was he even in the beginning when Ardet is narrating of how he has control of the power of the sands. How does control of the sands translate to control of the water in the
I don't know.
Nile?
Watch the
It
second movie
was
and find out for yourself. Okay, here we go.
no, don't you? Don't you won't be
Okay,
happy.
let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
All right.
Give me thoughts on the endings, you guys. Did you
Yes.
guys
Okay.
both appreciate the ending the way
Oh,
I
yeah.
did?
I like it.
Absolutely. It was fitting. It was fitting. Benny, everybody got what they deserved. I think in the end of this movie is basically the easiest way to put it.
What I did love about the actual final scene too was, Rick says, he got away with, treasure, and his treasure was Evie. It was the love they had found. And at this point, they have no
Mhm.
idea that this
Mhm.
treasure is on the camel. And the brother thinks that he's gone through all
Right.
this for nothing.
For nothing.
And
Yeah.
and it's great. And he gets on the camel, he tries to kiss it, and he gives it the bad breath thing, another great funny laugh. And as they're going away, we get that same effect that we got in Benny's scene with the treasure, where the treasure gleams one more time for us, the viewers, to see, and knowing that they get this big Easter egg, this big surprise when they unpack the camels. And it just felt good.
Yeah.
I was like,
The whole thing
yeah.
from beginning to end was just every piece fit together. It was the
Yep.
perfect jigsaw puzzle
Yep.
for a movie.
And
Every piece, every character in its place and made the whole thing work. You take one of these characters out, you take the piece out and it doesn't work.
yep. Yeah, I mean, even the Americans who were all throwaway characters, I still liked them all. And I mean, tell me you didn't feel bad for the guy who got his eyes plucked, you
Sure.
know?
Well, oh sure, absolutely, but It's funny you bring that up because I remembered the scene when that little bastard Benny breaks Burns' glasses.
Yes.
And you got Burns stumbling through the passageway because he can't see. Now he picks the glasses up that were broken, and I don't know if you're that blind.
Oh, I'm wearing
I
the
would
broken
think you would
glasses.
take whatever's left from those glasses to get your ass out of there.
Yeah, I mean, and this is
Absolutely.
another time when they do a callback too, because it is they're on the boat and he says, I can't see anything without my glasses.
When
So
they're playing
Right, and
again,
got the cards.
yeah. So and you
Yeah.
know, like the warden saying, I hate bugs, and then he gets killed by bugs. I mean, like so many
I
like
love
they
that.
planted little diamonds all throughout, and just they
Oh.
would come to bloom later, and it was just fantastic.
What would have been funny for me is if the mummy gets guy's eyes and he's walking in the walls, so he has to get somebody else's eyes. How cool would that have been? Okay. Let's leave it on that.
He's taking the bad eyes.
Yeah.
And he can't see what that's fucking brilliant.
That's actually a great
You know
point.
what would've been
Stumbling
funny?
into walls and shit.
It would have been funny is if we see Benny get the fucking mummy the eyes, right? And then in the very next scene, the mummy is seen perfectly and Benny has no eyes. Like the mummy. Okay. Let's recast this
funny.
thing.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
thing.
So I would replace Brendan Fraser, and he was great in this, but this is who I would
Blasphemy.
this is who I would replace. I would replace Brendan Fraser with Matthew McConaughey. Very same. He can play the comedy. He can play the serious. He's a heartthrob.
No.
It's perfect. It's
He
perfect.
did do a movie, Sahara.
Yes, he did do Sahara, and I thought he was very good in that, and I enjoyed that movie very much. Delyn, recast it.
I would replace Rachel Weisz, and not that she's not fantastic, because she is. She's
Yep.
amazing. But I would replace her with Kate Blanchett, who is also got that ingenue kind of British cutie thing going on.
Sure.
So I'd put her in there.
I'm trying to think of who I'd replace. It's hard to come up with anyone.
Well, you're supposed to do that
Um,
before the show starts.
Yeah, well, I'm still tied up with
With
other
what?
shit.
Smoking bowls and taking naps.
Okay. Yeah, probably. I think I would replace Brendan Fraser with one of the other choices originally. I would go with Ben Affleck.
I
Oh,
I hate
no.
Ben Affleck just in general. Like he's a great actor, but like
Well, then you're screwed.
like Ben Affleck for me, it's funny. I think the first thing I ever saw him in was Mallrats. So that character just stuck with me. Like, so when I see him, I'm just like, he's such a jerk. Tell me which new kid's your favorite. Who's your favorite new kid? Who's your favorite new kid? So if you haven't seen fucking Mallrats, then go watch it. It's a funny scene. Okay, we're done. Let's do some final thoughts and get a rewatch score on this. So, like I said earlier, this movie for me, it's comfort food. It's macaroni and cheese. It's a fucking Stouffer's pizza, but it doesn't burn the roof of your mouth. It's fucking great. Great characters, great plot. My rewatch score for this is going to be 4.69, dude.
Bill and Ted.
Yeah, and I mean, it only doesn't get a perfect score because there are massive suspenses of reality that you have to make to roll with this, and it doesn't hurt the movie at all from a viewing point of view. So I love it. Back.
This is definitely one of my comfort movies. It sits in my continue watching category on my TV. And wherever I leave off the night before, I always rewind back to the beginning when they're getting on the steamship on the Nile, because that's for me where the action begins. I'm going to have to give this a 4.9 straight up.
4.9.
All right.
I like it.
All right. So I think we've covered most of everything that I could possibly say about this movie. I love a callback. I love the action. I love that they didn't go overly gory. I take a couple points off for just little piddly things. I'm going to give it a 4.893.
Wow.
So not quite a perfect movie, but pretty freaking close.
This
Yeah,
sucker's
very
going to be right
much.
up at the top. This is going to be a top
Oh
10.
yeah, top 10 easy.
Deservingly.
Okay. And so this got a score of 4.827666.
Nice.
So that puts it at, oh, it's up there. 82. It is at number 6.
Number 6. I like it. All right, give me the
Number
above and
6.
below.
Is it by itself?
By itself at number 6.
By itself at number
Like it.
6.
And it
Yeah,
is
it is.
right above it is RoboCop, and right underneath it is Dawn of the Dead.
It's definitely better than Dawn
So-
of the Dead, and RoboCop is a classic. It's right where it belongs.
Yeah.
I love it. So we will be back on April 26th. Our sister podcast, Breaking Vinyl, be back April 26th after a 3-week little vacation there. We will be reviewing Bon Jovi's New Jersey album. But hey, did you ever see that movie? We'll be back next week, and we will be reviewing the original Highlander with Mikki and Tony on a Dysfunctional Date Night. Now, I haven't watched this movie in 20 years. I'm
Ooh.
very excited to watch it. I've been having to not watch it because I want to do a fresh watch the week before. So I've been like tempted to watch this movie, but I haven't. So I'm super excited to go back and watch it.
I mean, it's getting points for the Queen soundtrack right off the bat,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
there you
Yes,
go.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. All right, Pat, thanks for joining me. Delyn, always fun watching movies from opposite sides of the house and then breaking them down. So until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.